For those of you who haven't met me, my name is Jeff Jarnes. I am the MC tonight, and I'm a born and raised guy in Bloomington. I've lived in Bloomington most of my life. My parents were BAA coaches and scorekeepers, and I've coached a lot of fast pitch and slow pitch baseball and softball in Bloomington. And I'm honored to be here tonight because we've got a real impressive group of people that are getting these distinctive awards, people that have given a lot of their time and energy and devotion to the community that we live in. So I'm excited to do this. And, you know, for those of you who don't know, in 1976, the Bloomington Adult Sports Association was started, and they created this program of giving these Hall of Fame awards to people. And they continued that for 11 years until 1997, when something very, very strange happened. 1997, John Bianchi got inducted into the Hall of Fame. And the whole thing shut down for 6 years. It just went dead. But we love our little John Bianchi. And the guy seriously has given a lot. He was my daughter, or my older sister's sixth grade teacher, and her favorite teacher. She would tell you to this day that he was impactful, and he was her favorite teacher of all times. A guy who really deserves to be on a pedestal with all of us, not just to be revered or to be honored, but to be on the pedestal so we can see him, because he's only about that tall. And, you know, a little earlier tonight, I was in the room down the hall, kind of getting ready for this, trying to figure out what I was going to say. I was practicing a few of my lines, and a woman walked in, and she said, so you're speaking tonight, I take it? And I said, yeah, I am. She goes, do you speak much? And I said, well, you know, not really. I don't do this a lot. She goes, kind of smarty, she goes, you're pretty nervous, huh? And I was a little taken back by it. I said, well, no, not really. She goes, well, then what are you doing in the ladies' room? I said, maybe I am a little nervous. But I was given strict orders, too, by Dan a little earlier that no beer, no alcohol until the end of the program. So if I seemed a little rushed, you'll know why. And without any further ado, I'm going to call up Mike Johnson. He's going to give a very special award, the BAA Special Service Award, to some individuals that have gone way above and beyond the call of duty. And without stealing any of his thunder, I give you Mike Johnson.
Thank you, and good evening. Yeah, we do have two really special inductees tonight for the Bloomington Hall of Fame. We'll start with Dave Allman. So Dave, could you come on up? And while you're coming up, Dave's been involved with BAA for over 20 years. He's been a level director for baseball, soccer, and basketball. And he's also coached those same sports, also along with floor hockey, volleyball, and softball. So pretty involved with BA as well. And because of that, these three kids have been, you've got one that's a senior and then two who have aged out. That have kept him pretty busy in BAA. Dave is currently also serves as the VP of sports and has done so for several years. Some fun facts about Dave. He's coached 63 teams, each of his daughters, 21 teams apiece, as I hear, right? You've kept it even, so that's good. Over 600 players he's coached. So it's pretty impressive that for as long as he's been doing this, that he's still standing, actually. So, all right, good job. All right, so Dave also has a passion for BA and his success. He's not afraid to take on any of the challenges that come his way. And because, it goes without saying really, that BA is a much better organization because he's a part of it. So you are well deserving of this award, and so thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, I spent a lot of time in the city when we first moved into the city. One of the biggest things that I wanted to do with my city is become part of the community. And volunteer was one of the biggest, that was the thing that I did just to be part of the community. And that means more than anything at all. And I just don't like awards. I just don't take them very well, just because now you always have to achieve with what you've earned. I've had a lot of great memories through the years with the different sports that I've coached. And I have one sport for each of my kids. I don't know how I counted the other night or last week, and it worked out even for all the kids, 21 each. That was quite a bit. But in baseball, those damn Yankees. There was one team. I had most of the kids each year. Two memories with those kids. One of them came out as a second grader. He came out with his dad's baseball glove. And you can imagine how that was with his little hand. We tried. We were not going to take that away from him. He was not going to get a regular glove. He wanted to use his dad's glove. I coached him until he fit into that glove. But the Yankees, there's one team that were always, that one team that always knocked us out in the playoffs. We could never beat this team. And finally, it was Chad's last year in BA, and we beat the Yankees in the playoffs. And the looks of those kids' faces, that was my award, just seeing those faces. Later on, I coached them in basketball. As an 8th grade basketball team, there was an influx of traveling kids coming into the program. Somehow or another, I had the team that we did not win any games at all that year. We lost each game by about 20 points. Pretty brutal. And I said all the things that we've heard, give it your best shot, you tried your best, yada, da, da, da. Finally, in the last game in the playoffs, because everybody goes in the playoffs, we got shelled probably by about 30 points. And I looked at those kids, and I said, you know what? I have said everything and anything I could possibly say. There's nothing, I have nothing more to say, except for this. With that one team, they never quit. They showed up for all the practices. They showed up on time. They played hard, did not point fingers, didn't blame each other, and walked away from all those games with their heads held high. That was my award. Volleyball, I coached girls volleyball for quite a few years, quite a few teams. I had a 3-year stint there that I really, really wanted to get these girls to focus on serving the ball overhand. And through these 3 seasons, I worked very, very hard. Probably maybe half of them would be able to do it at the beginning of the season. By the end of the season, they were all able to do it. One young lady, I remember, she served, it was in the playoffs, and she got it overhand, she served it over net. Oh my gosh, she was so ecstatic. She turned to her mother and said, "Mom, I did it!" She didn't see it. I saw it. I saw the face of, I did it. That was my award. Floor hockey, I coached some floor hockey teams. I coached 2 teams back to back. We finished in last place, and we won the championship at the end of the year. To see the faces of these girls after they won was amazing. That was my award. This award for being a volunteer and coaching and giving up the time, that, it just meant so much to me. And Christine, my only child that could make it here tonight, about volunteering, she took on the role of being a referee for BA soccer this fall. And she was sick for one game and she wasn't going to be able to do it. So what do you think she did? "Dad, do you think you could ref the game for me?" And of course, I did, and I loved every bit of it. I got to thank my wife, Deb. Obviously, spending a lot of time takes a lot away from different things I should be taking care of at home, but she always supported me through that and basically allowed me to, and BA is not the only thing I volunteer for, but she's never said, "No, you can't." So that really means a lot. That really helps. So what does it mean about being inducted into this Hall of Fame? To me, it's being amongst you guys. I've seen a lot of your faces around here for years. Nenovich, he's a pain. But you know what? Our community is so much better in our baseball program because we have people like Ron. He's been doing this for a long, long, long time, a lot more than I ever have. And I'd look at Dan. Dan's been around the block here quite a few times. We bumped heads. Bianchi, I don't think we never personally met, but I know the name because George wrote about him in the Sun Current. See, that's what we do in a community. We all put in little hands, little bit of work, and look at what we have. Everybody in this room here has only been paid by one thing, the love and the joy of volunteering. And with that, that makes for a great community, and I thank you guys for being part of my community. Thank you.
All right, second, Kent Lindell. Now, Kent has been involved for 22 years, so he's got a couple of years on Dave there. He's also coached for 22 years. During that time, he has coached 39 teams and 390 kids in basketball, baseball, and soccer. Not that the two are being competitive at all. But if you include the YMCA and fall ball teams that he's also done coaching for, he's been 25 years, 50 teams, and over 500 kids. So again, a person who has just been above and beyond call of duty when it comes to coaching and just volunteering for kids. While coaching those 22 years with BA, Kent has also served as a baseball divisional director for the last 3 years, or for 3 years, and currently sits as the baseball's city director and has done so for the last 6 years. Kent has also graciously accepted filling one of our empty VP spots for sports last September, and Kent is what I call a specialist in the details, and I look forward to being able to use those talents in his new position very much. So again, congratulations and thank you very much. Very deserving of the.
So thank you. I'm humbled and honored. No one does this for any type of awards. I agree with Dave. Seeing those faces is just great. I want to also acknowledge my wife. As a city director, we probably put in 200 to 300 hours a year in managing the BAA program, and my wife puts in easily close to that also. Half the emails that are signed by me come from her, and and I couldn't do this without her. Looking back, I've had the honor and joy to coach my 2 sons. That's why Dave beats me a little bit. He has got one more in the program, but that's okay, Dave. You cheated. But anyways, it is such a joy and honor to do that. I definitely think back, my favorite year of coaching was when my oldest son had just graduated from high school, and then my youngest son was just going into 1st grade. So on Monday and Wednesdays, I would teach the instructional kids, coach the instructional kids, and then on Tuesday and Thursdays, I would teach or coach the high school kids. So I'd go one day shouting to the kids to leave the dandelions alone. The next day I'd go shouting at the kids to leave the girls alone. So we always went back and forth, and what a great joy that year to be able to coach both my kids. On the same year. It was the only year I was able to do that. But thank you very much. I do feel very honored.
Thank you, and congratulations again to Dave and Kent for your great service. Our next category is known as the Bloomington School Service Award, and it goes to teachers, coaches, volunteers, citizens that have done a great job in a number of different areas to help the community. And these people really live up to the old saying that you go fast alone, but you go far together. And they've helped the community in a lot of different ways. And Chad Nyberg is going to introduce the award recipients from the Jefferson side. and Chris Krenz will do the people from Kennedy. So if I can have Chad come up, we'll have that award given now to the Bloomington School Service Award on the Jefferson side. No Chad Nyberg here. Chad, meet Chad's brother Dan. Can we have Lynn Larson come up?
We have to apologize. He was supposed
That's okay.
Lynn is an outstanding citizen.
just
And, yes, and I'm going to let her tell you what she's
Oh,
done.
gosh.
Thank
Okay.
you.
I'll introduce myself. I'm Lynn Larson. I am a Bloomington resident all my life. I went to Bloomington Lincoln High School. Go Bears. I'm such a Bear fan. Yes. I teach at Jefferson. I still can't stand to wear that baby blue color. It bugs me, but I do. They're a huge rival when I was growing up. So I played BAA. My parents coached me in BAA, so I feel right at home. And it's a dream to be able to work and live in Bloomington and be there all my life. So I've been a coach at Jefferson since 1987 and a teacher since then as well. And back looking at the program, I see Joe Dolan and John Bianchi and Stan Shea won this award, and they're the old guys. Like, how could I be here now? So I don't understand that. I didn't think I was old enough. But thank you for this award. I do love teaching and coaching in Bloomington. It's an awesome place to be, and the kids I work with are fantastic. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Lynn. Great job. Now I'd like to call up Chris Krenz to tell us about the people from Kennedy that have won this distinguished award. Thanks, Chris.
Hi everyone, I am Chris Krenz, Assistant Principal at Kennedy. In my former role, though, I was also the AD at Kennedy, so even though a lot of my kids, coaches, community members talk bad about Jefferson, I will say that Lynn Larson a lot of times is spoken very highly of. So congratulations, Lynn. She is an amazing woman, so I know that from both sides of town, so she was awesome. But I get to introduce three amazing women as well. So if Melinda, Pat, and Marguerite want to come up by me, I can talk about them. So come on up here, ladies. So you all, I'm sure, can appreciate having amazing people to work with. So not only people who have positive attitude and are fun, but they're dedicated, reliable, trustworthy, loyal. I can't say enough things about these three women up here. So all of them had worked for Bloomington Public Schools, but they all also take tickets at all of our events. So if you've been to any Kennedy events in the last probably 40 years, you will have seen one of these ladies. So Pat started at Penn Junior High working there, which I now think is Northwestern College. She left such a legacy, they knocked it down and built a college there. Then she went to Oak Grove and ended at Kennedy, so she was in BPS for 17 years, and then took tickets for us for 38 plus years, and is still doing it. We're letting her heal from her surgery, but we expect her back this basketball season to be at a table taking tickets. Melinda Figner, down at the end, started Valley View Elementary, and she was over at ESC Kennedy, and I actually had the privilege of having her as a secretary as well. She was my secretary at Kennedy, so I got to work with her on the AD side and as assistant principal. But she worked 29 years in Bloomington and has been taking tickets for 25 plus years as well, and is still doing that for us, which we greatly appreciate. And Marguerite Dillon has worked at Oak Grove, the Central Admin Building, which I don't know where that is, or was.
It's ESC now.
Oh, ESC. So ESC now. And she worked in the finance department. She worked for Bloomington for 32 years. And then even after she retired, she decided to come back and work some more at Jefferson. So didn't even really retire, but she's been taking tickets for 30 plus years. So these are some amazing women. If you ever come to a game, and Pat and Melinda typically work our volleyball, basketball games in the gyms, they'll have you stamp your hand with a stamp right here on the kind of fat of the palm of your hand. And the reason they do that is because when you come back in from using the restroom or grabbing concessions, they want you to wave at them, to show them, to say hi. So it's another way just to say, have fun and be positive. And Marguerite, when I called over to HR to get some information on the years she's worked in Bloomington, right away the first lady I spoke to said, ooh, that name, that's still whispered among the ladies here of like the legend in BPS. So together, combined with all their years of service and ticket taking, they have done that for over 93 years, working at Kennedy and Jefferson. So again, I can't say enough about these women. They work all of our events. They work our section games. I know even some of our past ADs who've moved on still call them to help them work events. So again, I just can't tell them how much I appreciate them and respect them and have so much admiration for them. So thank you for all that you do for Kennedy, for us, and Bloomington. So let's give them one more round of applause. Who's talking?
Okay, oh, no, I was told I didn't need to say anything. It's been a pleasure. And you can imagine how surprised I was when I got that letter, and I'm sure you were too. But we have enjoyed it. I've made many friends, and the kids are wonderful. It's just great. You've taught them well. They come up and they say thanks, and they're just very polite. Thank you for raising nice kids. And I've lived here for 61 years, and I'm still in my house, so it's a great place to live and raise children. I had 5, so they went to Kennedy, everyone. Thank you very much. This is really unexpected.
Thank you. That was an extra special award. And Marguerite, also, I don't know your friends. They're charming. But I just want to point out that I've known your son Dave for a long time. And Dave is also a Hall of Fame inductee. And I'm sure you're very, very proud of him. And he's very proud of you tonight. So congratulations. I guess another thing, it'd take a minute or two to just say thanks to our sponsors. If you look at your placemats, all the businesses and individuals that have donated time and money to the cause here, deserve a little bit of attention, as do some of the people that have helped put this on, Karen and our friend Dan, who a lot of people know Dan as the man of 1,000 stories. It's actually just 2 stories that we've all heard like 500 times each. But nonetheless, thank you. And our next award is the Park and Recreation Award. And this award, all the nice facilities that we have in Bloomington, our great parks, our baseball diamonds, football stadiums, everything, we can't take that for granted. It takes a lot of work to plan those, to maintain them, to keep them in the top shape that keeps us one of the premier communities and sporting event places in the whole Twin Cities, if not the state of Minnesota. So that award is well deserved, and at this time I'd like to bring up Mike Ramirez to tell us who that recipient is and tell us a little bit about him. So here's Mike Ramirez.
Well, I can say, knowing Dan, that I get a new joke every time I run into him, which is awesome. So, Greg Boatman is the recipient for this year. For those of you who don't know Greg, which I would assume most people do, he served Bloomington community here in our Parks and Rec division for 15 years. I actually was looking and scouring through my house to try to find some khaki cargos, but I couldn't find them, so khaki will have to do. Greg started in 2000 as an adaptive recreation supervisor. In 2004, he was promoted to the assistant Parks and Rec manager, which we all know and love him as. When he left in 2015 to become the Parks and Rec manager in Savage, we were saddened here in the community because Greg did so many great things for us. And then quickly he actually did become the director of public works down there. During his time here, he was a great ambassador for Parks and Recreation and all of the great facilities and the wonderful programs that we have. And again, his adaptive background was always evident, the inclusion services, and as well as the very, very loved Camp Coda that Greg's hands are all over, and that's why that program is so awesome. He worked tirelessly to provide the highest quality to Parks and Rec services and the residents here in Bloomington. Under Greg's guidance, Parks and Recreation was launched online for everyone to be able to register, and then also just be able to all of the improvement projects, and including the Toro Stadium at Red Haddocks Field. And because of Greg's great effort, I mean, we really do have one of the nicest baseball stadiums right here in our hometown. Greg was an invaluable member and an asset to the department and this community. So without further ado, Greg Boatman.
Thank you, Mike, for those kind words. I'm very honored. First, congratulations to all the other award winners and Hall of Fame inductees. This is such a wonderful event. Thank you to Dan and Karen and everyone else who was responsible for making this night happen. For many years, I was the guy in Mike's shoes, introducing the Parks and Recreation Award of Excellence winner. I never thought I would be the one receiving it. I'm so proud and humbled to receive this award. When I think back to all the things that I had the pleasure to be involved in while working for Bloomington Park and Rec, one common theme keeps coming up: the people. The staff at the city, the volunteers for rec programs, residents who advocated, yes, Ron, I'm talking about you, residents who advocated for improving our parks, residents who participated in our programs. It was those relationships that I developed with these people who made my time in Bloomington so special. It was an honor and a privilege to work alongside all of you to make Bloomington a better place. Briefly, I'd like to thank my wife, Brenda, who's with me here tonight, for all of her love and support so that I could give of myself to this wonderful city. Thanks, Brenda. And finally, I'd like to thank Randy Qualley, the recently retired Park and Rec manager, and the members of the Parks, Arts, and Recreation Commission for honoring me with this wonderful award. Thank you very much.
Our final category includes tonight's Hall of Fame inductees. And, somebody told me a long time ago, as a coach of mine, that said to me that in the game of life, just like in a game of sports, there's really three classifications of individuals. You've got spectators who like to watch and cheer and see things from the sidelines. And you've got players that like to get out in the game and they like to participate, show their camaraderie and teamwork. And then you've got a third category, which is called the impact player, the kind of player that is going to be wearing a captain letter on their jersey, or running the show, or making an impact that can influence the outcome of a game. They're not your ordinary player, they're not your ordinary effort giver, they're the impact players. And that's what we have here tonight, is a handful of these Hall of Fame award winners that have been very impactful to the community, to their sports teams, to their families, to their churches, and made life a little bit better for all the people that they've touched. And there was a study done several years ago that they looked at a lot of Olympic athletes, and they did a listing of the qualities that made the Olympic athlete the superstar or the special person. And I won't read all of them, but I just wanted to read one of them. It was number 2 on the list, and it said, high performers have a process for being great. Successful performers know the difference between good and great, average and excellent, and they're extraordinary because they're committed to their performance and they hold themselves accountable. So we have the pleasure tonight of seeing 5 of those people that have been accountable, that they've held themselves to a high standard of excellence. And our first inductee is Mike Dickey, who's going to be introduced more formally by Dave Weinberg. So if I can have Dave Weinberg come on up, that would be great.
Just want to start out by saying Mr. Bianchi was correct. I spent a lot of time at the Ice Center, and he told me to look at Jeff Jarnis's picture, and you look just like old. Okay, I know we want to get this going, and you know, I want to get home too because my wife's out with the women tonight, so I want to see what kind of mood she's in when I get home. Mike Dickey, I know Mike. Come on up, Mike. I know Mike from the rink. I'd see him there all the time, and just, you know, he was always there. So I submitted a form for him to fill out, and then he ends up being put into the Hall of Fame based on a lot of stuff here. I'm going to try to make her quick. He has volunteered in the city, Bloomington, he had 16 years down, but I think it's more like 18. He's been a lifelong resident. He played BAA as a youth back when BAA was the only game in town. After his kids got of age, he coached BAA baseball and helped as a director in one of the divisions, both with the boys and the girls programs. He was involved in BAA hockey. He coached both slow pitch and fast pitch softball when his daughters got to be of age. After that time, he entered Kennedy traveling hockey program. He coached peewees, midgets. Some of you guys don't even know what midgets were. That's how long ago it was. Juvenile, which turned into junior gold. He served as ice coordinator for Kennedy hockey for a couple of years. He was on their coaches selection committee. He was on the revenue committee. That goes along with the years that he had coached in the program. He coached with a few of the guys that are already in the Hall of Fame here. He can maybe mention their names. But anyway, the thing I learned most about him is when he was behind the bench, I reffed hockey. And he would be on the bench when I was reffing hockey. And the thing best about him is he kept his boys accountable for their actions, which isn't done a whole lot these days. There are no opinions in the news, but it isn't. And that's what I most appreciated from him when I was on the ice and he was coaching. He made his boys accountable rather than enable them. And anyway, congratulations, Mike.
Okay, I'll do that. Well, I want to thank the committee for this honor. I really appreciate it. And I want to thank my family, especially my wife, who I dragged around to dusty baseball fields and football fields and ice-cold hockey rinks. And went on for years and years, and finally she said, well, if I can't get away from it, I might as well join them. So she was my manager for a lot of hockey teams. And it went on for a long, long time, and finally it just kind of was time to walk away from it. So, but if the opportunity ever arose, I would think again about going back into it. So, but I thank you again very much. Thank you.
Jim Atchison is a longtime family friend. His son is a friend of my daughter's, and I'm excited to hear what Jim Atchison is going to tell us about Beth Gunderson. Here's Jim.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. You know, I appreciated the information on Mr. Bianchi, but I don't know if anyone really looked at the agenda for tonight. Did you notice that Dan Waleris is not speaking? And there's twice as many people here tonight as there's been in the last 3 years. That's a fact. That's a fact. Well, Elizabeth Gunderson, Beth, as we know her. Beth, come on up. Come on up. I might have panicked her a little bit before when I told her I was going to roast her. I'm not going to roast you, you know. We know her as Beth. During the day, we know her as Dr. Gunderson. Beth is Associate Dean at Hamline University. Huge job. And with her tonight, in addition to her friends, some of her friends, there's more friends, but her son Ben and her daughter Anna. Welcome. Beth herself is a very accomplished athlete. Swimming, tennis, and more recently in run walking, which I don't quite understand because I don't walk nor do I run. So,
But you had to walk to get up
well,
here, so.
yeah, I understand. I understand. As we said earlier, there's a lot takes a community to do all of this, and a number of different roles. And Beth's role was not coaching, was not behind the bench. It was on the administrative side. It was the advising side. It was the fundraising side. It was everything that has to do with every sporting event and every team so that it's ready to go when the coach walks on. And without people like Beth and others here in the room, we don't have teams. So it's a huge statement to her on that. But at a higher level, at Hamline, she has served as an academic advisor to both the men's and the women's swim teams, and to the women's lacrosse team. Here in Bloomington, she's been more active with the Barracuda swim team for a number of years. I can never say this, Gilboa ski team, and then the Kennedy boys swim team, the Kennedy alpine ski team, both men's and women's, and the Kennedy's girls lacrosse team. And the one item that I want to point out is today we are able to have varsity sports for both Kennedy and Jefferson and lacrosse, and Beth and her husband, Bob, thank you, sorry,
Gundy.
were very, very instrumental in that. So any of you that have sons or daughters in the lacrosse program, Beth and Bob were very instrumental in that. And with that, I think we should give her a huge, warm welcome to the Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate that. And thank you, Dan. I can't tell you that when Dan knocked on my door and asked me if I would be a part of this and handed me the form, I had no idea how much fun it would be to just walk down memory lane to kind of revisit all of those things that my kids were involved in. And then as a result, I became very involved. I'm really proud of the work we did with the lacrosse team. You know, to get them to varsity status was a big deal. And I was a note taker. I was the person, the gamekeeper, the scorekeeper for the Kennedy lacrosse team, so I got to know the ins and outs. The women's lacrosse team at Hamline has not asked me to do that with good reason, that's all I should say. But I had great fun working with the kids' teams throughout the years, the fundraising with the swim team and the different traveling that they did, and the ski team was a lot of fun too, to take some of those kids to northern Michigan, to the Upper Peninsula, who had not even been out of the Minneapolis area. Was just an eye-opening experience for them. And Jim didn't mention, but we were very involved in the show choir at Kennedy, and the experiences that those kids had to get on stage and perform, not unlike getting on a court and playing basketball or skiing down a hill or any of the other sports that our kids do. It was another experience. And to see those kids do a little bit of traveling was also really worthwhile. So I really want to thank you all. I want to thank my family for being here, Ben and Christine, Anna and Jordan, and the Hansons were just such an important part of my life. So I thank you all very much.
Our next inductee is Wayne Haig, who unfortunately I don't know real well, but the one thing I do know about him is he's a darn nice guy. When I came in here today, he extended his hand, came up and said he was excited about this thing, and he liked the show from last year. He remembered that I emceed it, and we talked a little bit about that. So I'm excited to hear his brother Jim introduce him and tell us what a great guy he is, because I'm sure he's been a super contributor. So here's Jim to tell us about Wayne. Is it, oh, I'm sorry, father. No, I can't see it. Uncle Jim talking about Wayne.
That's what I'm known as.
Congratulations, and
Yeah, thank you.
tell us about Wayne.
Yeah, I gotta wait till he gets up there. Hey. Come on, buddy. You know, oh, gotta hug. Hey, now, everybody take a look at this guy. I mean, look at him. I mean, suit, or, you know, sport coat, tie. You don't see that all the time. I mean, Susie got him out the other night, and this is what you got, you know? She cleaned me up. She cleaned him up, that's right. Well, listen, I'm as happy to do this as I know Wayne is happy to get this award. It's a tremendous award. It's a hell of an award. I'll tell you what, I've received it many years ago, you know, proud of it ever since. And I know Wayne is going to be proud of it also. A couple things I got on him. Let's see. Born and raised East Bloomington, went to Bloomington schools, all the way from 1st to 12, attended Kennedy High School. He was on, Wayne admitted he didn't play a lot of sports in high school, but he did like to ski. And he ended up on a ski team as a captain and enjoyed that very much. Right after that, he found out about some organization that needed help with physical challenged kids who wanted to do some skiing. So Wayne volunteered. He started pretty young as a volunteer. So, and that was a pretty special time in his life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and then from that, after high school, he went to Normandale College, which a lot of people did before if they were going on to college. But then from Normandale, he went to a plumbing school down at Dunwoody and took up the plumbing trade. And then he met his beautiful wife, Susie, and got married, had two great gals, Katie and Maddie. I think Katie's with us tonight.
Katie's here.
Yeah, Katie's here, yeah. And anyhow, when with a young family like that, they start growing up and they take up sports. Well, Wayne went with the program. He ended up coaching softball, fall soccer, floor hockey, and volleyball. A little busy. As a matter of fact, Susie, I suppose you saw his backside quite a bit going out the door, right? And then from there, well, he had a bunch of girls, and they loved to have fun. Wayne would take them in a trailer and take them around to these different sporting events. You've got, well, like the Bloomington Fest and also St. Bonaventure. Well, they'd get in a trailer, but the thing was, Wayne needed something to pull the trailer. He inherited his grandfather's farm, all tractor. He reconditioned it and also painted it. So that's what he used to haul these kids around at the different festivities. But, you know, the kids were having one heck of a time, but Wayne was the one that had the biggest smile on his face, just driving those kids around. Okay, so Wayne took over with the BAA. He really had a lot of work with the BAA. He took over equipment manager for football and baseball. That's one heck of a big job. And after that, he went up the ladder, vice president for 5 years, president for 5 years. And in the much time, they got 8th grade football from the schools back in the BAA. And they also got sign up BAA back in the school system. And a lot of accomplishments. They started a scholarship program for BAA, which I don't know the particulars on it so much, but just to get a scholarship program going is something else. I think that pretty much takes care of what I've got to say. I know Wayne is very dedicated to the BAA, and I know the BAA is as good a program as after he left as it was before. You need some great men, you need a lot of great men and women to keep a good program great. And I think Wayne has done that job. So let's welcome Wayne to receive his award tonight.
You're welcome.
Cheers.
Thanks so much, everybody. Uncle Jim, just stay up here for a minute. You know, there's a lot of different coaches. There's sports coaches, and then there's just kind of life coaches. Life coaches may be kind of used loosely, but where's Uncle Jim here? He's behind me.
I'm here.
You know, Uncle Jim really has been a really, really good life coach for me over the years. I worked with him for years as an apprentice and a journeyman plumber, and I know this isn't anything to do with plumbing, but I just want to thank you really, you know, from the bottom of my heart for doing this. That's great. Thanks for the honor of this award. I don't think so much I deserve it, but I'm willing to accept it if you insist. So I know this is getting to be a real, so I just, you know what, I want everybody to be at ease. Just stand up for a minute. Really, just stand up for a minute. Susie, stand up. Just stretch a little bit. Really. This is a long meeting. And see, Dan, I told you I'd get a standing ovation tonight. I told you that. You didn't believe me. You said, oh, Haig, you're full of bloating. But seriously, everybody feels better. You got blood going out to all the right places. Thank God. There's a lot of people here tonight, and I'll keep this short. But especially Karen Aber, Dan Waleris, Jeff, Mr. Bianchi. I don't see him here. I know he's here, but I don't know where he sat down. Uncle Jim, all the previous award winners of this award, and all the award winners tonight. You know, I think the biggest thing that I always wanted, coached a lot of teams, nowhere near as many as Dave and Kent, and I'm not all about numbers and stuff, but all I cared about was the majority of the kids on the teams that I coached that they wanted to play, sign up and play the next year. And whether they were 1-10 or 10-1, if they all had fun and they wanted to sign up the next year, that's really all I cared about. And I think I kind of stole this from Dave Allman. I was president of BA for a couple of years, and I had the honor of standing up here and awarding awards. And Dave was a recipient of one of these awards years ago, and he raised a really good point that whether it's a man or woman volunteering, your spouse and your family puts in as much time as you do, keeping dinner warm, warming dinner up later, putting up with having to share their spouse with all these other families, you know, that they're volunteering for. And I really want to thank my wife Susie, and my daughter Katie's here tonight. Maddie is in college in Wyoming; she wasn't able to come. And my friends Dan and Barb, they came tonight, and father-in-law Pat and Paul, and buddy Chuck, and you know, it's been a really, really nice evening. And I just have to apologize to Uncle Jim that he had to stay for the whole thing this year.
Okay, thanks a lot.
But, okay, on that note, thank you so much.
I'm excited to hear about the many accomplishments of Gene Parrish. That family's got is just stocked full of overachievers. So I'm very excited to hear about this. And he's going to be introduced by Ron Milkey, who I'm really glad wherever Ron is. I'm glad that you're here. I don't know if any people heard about this, but a couple of weeks ago, Ron was kidnapped, and the kidnappers held him for ransom for $50,000, and his wife Linda refused to pay it because she said she only gives to worthy causes. So here's Ron to tell you more.
That's right, worthy causes. Thanks, Jeff. I want to say thank you for emceeing tonight. Doing a fabulous job. Got a nice group of people here, and it's always great to have come together like this. Also, it's been stated previously, congratulations to all the recipients tonight. You've earned it, you've done a great job, and each and every one of you, it's a great honor. I'm here to introduce Gene Parrish. Gene, why don't you come on up? A little bit about Gene. Gene was born and grew up in South Minneapolis. He moved to Bloomington with his wife. He's been in Bloomington for over 40 years. They raised two boys, Gino and Mark Parrish. Both of those boys both participated in Bloomington athletics, plus they moved on to greater opportunities. And they've done well at that. Growing up in South Minneapolis, Gene attended Roosevelt High School. He played both varsity baseball and football. With football in 1964, he was all conference. Then he went on to play varsity football and baseball at Augsburg College. Back then, playing football and baseball there, I knew Gene back then because I knew of him, because he played with my brother at Augsburg on the baseball team there. Gene was the captain of the baseball team in 1969, was all conference in 1967 and 1969, and received the batting title in 1967. After college, he went on to play slow pitch softball from 1969 to 2013. He was inducted into the Minnesota ASA Softball Hall of Fame, and in 1994 was inducted into the USSSA Softball Hall of Fame. No, it was 94, he was ASA, and in 2004 was the USSSA. He went on and played on seven national championship teams in the major division, and he was also awarded all tournament honors for those 7 years. Gene also played, I don't know if you all remember that Minnesota had a professional softball team back then, but he played for the Minnesota Goofies Norseman team from 1975 to 1977. He was the team captain from 1975 to 1977 and was named 3 times All-Pro first team and was the team MVP in 1975. That's some of his personal accolades. What Gene did, he coached for several years in the Bloomington athletic system, from BAA baseball, Classic League baseball, Mickey Mantle baseball, to high school baseball, both at Jefferson, where he coached 9th grade with Jim Wanshura, and at Kennedy High School, the varsity baseball team with Steve Strumman. Both of these coaches that he coached with are also recipients of the Hall of Fame. In 2000, Gene coached with Steve at Kennedy to win the Section 6 championship and also the consolation champs in the state tournament that year. Along with coaching baseball, Gene also coached many years in the Jefferson Youth Program from 1984 to 1991. He impacted a lot of lives all these years, and I know what it's like. I was able to coach with Gene on a couple of these teams here. He was a great mentor to a lot of kids. Gene is currently active in the Bloomington Born Again Jocks, playing golf at Dwan Golf Course. I play in the foursome with Gene, with his uncle Lyle, a longtime hunting buddy, John, and we have some pretty competitive rounds there, so it's lots of fun. Gene also taught in Bloomington school system from 1969 to 1975, and has been involved with several other Bloomington civic activities. I'm honored and pleased to present Gene Parrish to the Bloomington Sports Hall of Fame.
Thanks, Ronnie. That's just the way I wrote that. First of all, I want to thank you for coming out. Congratulations to the other inductees. Thanks to the Hall of Fame committee for the prestigious award. Thanks to Ron Milkey for the nomination. And now I suppose I owe you lunch. Lunch. Yeah, and thanks to Mr. Faulkner for letting me use his cheaters. I need this stuff. I want to thank my family first. Those of you that are around sports and around activities and people that do things. Without a supportive family, it doesn't work. My wife and I have been together for 47 years, going on 48, but I still got a couple of months. So we're on 47 right now, and I want to thank her for all of the time and effort that she's put in. She allowed me to live my dream and to play my games, and she was there. She was there supporting me. She was there watching these two little rugrats run around from time to time, and even offer some batting advice from time to time, maybe when things weren't going quite so well. And certainly on lineups and batting order, she was right there to help. So I want to thank her for that. Without her and without her support of my family, none of this would have happened. I know some wonderful players who, because of their family situations and just their jobs, they weren't able to do this. Didn't mean they weren't great players. They just didn't have the support staff that I had, and I'm very grateful for what they've done for me, and I want to thank her for that. So, Barbie is still active in the Bloomington Federation of Teachers. She retired a couple years ago from Kennedy after 30-plus years in the Bloomington program and teaching. She was Mark's first hockey coach. She was Gino's first t-ball coach. So the true coach in our family is my lovely wife, Barb. So I want to thank you, Barb, for that. Thank you. I want to thank my kids as well. They were there for me, and they supported me as well. Gino has gone on, is now doing he had 9 years of professional hockey and played overseas and had a wonderful career individually, and is now doing a coaching gig with his four-star hockey, and I wish him the best on that. He's also starting a program with Danny Hendrickson on I think it's through the state of hockey, isn't it, Gino? On the Other Brothers. If you don't know, Danny Hendrickson is Darby Hendrickson's brother. So the Other Brothers was a good segue, and they're going to be doing some high school sports broadcast this fall. So good luck to Gino, and thank you so much. Mark has had a wonderful career, and they both started in BAA. They both had opportunities that they took advantage of. They're in the right place at the right time. Mark was an Olympian, NHL All-Star, 12 years in the NHL, and even played for the Wild for a couple of years. And if you look at the banners on the ceiling at the Med Center, next time you look in there, or what's it now, Target Center? Whatever it is. There's one banner hanging in the ceiling from 2007. That was the year Mark was the captain there at the Wild. So congratulations. And he's now doing some broadcasting, does the Minnesota State High School Hockey Tournament on TV. They actually put him on TV. Told him he had a better face for radio, but he stays on TV. Does what? Got the looks from Mom. Yeah, I told you. Mom was the one. Does some radio broadcast on KFAN on Wednesday, and you better get to bed early tonight because you got initials tomorrow at 9 o'clock. He's the current defending runner-up for the initials program on KFAN. Got to hold that Phil Mickelson award. Got to keep it going. Ruby is a junior. She is my granddaughter. She is a junior at Jefferson High School. Their other son is a Wieland, who Dr. Gunderson, he is a freshman at Hamlin. So could you kind of keep an eye out for him, please? Yeah, oh, there you go. There you go. Sorry, Wheels. Sorry, Wheels. Wheels had 2 years of juniors. He played hockey up in Nashville, and he played hockey up in Winnipeg for the Winkler Flyers, and is now playing or starting his freshman year at Hamlin. So nice job, Wheels. Way to go. We have Mom Shelley, who works at the Hilltop Cafe over there on 50th and Edina, and works a lot to support the rest of the family at that point. Mark's family, Nikki is not here tonight. They've got a little sick one at home, but Nikki is what do we call her, an ambassador for? Wine ambassador for Boisset. Oh, I see. Okay. So very active again. Tugger is playing hockey and baseball, but he loves to write stories and write illustrations. So he does. He does. And so I want to thank those guys and congratulate them. Again, I have so many Bloomington people here that I've had a contact with over the years, and just to mention a few of them, because I know I'm going to forget some. I want to thank Jim Wanchura for bringing me to Bloomington softball. Back then it was Marthel's. Remember that place? Yeah, Marvin Thelma. Yeah, that was my first softball team. He hauled me out of Minneapolis and brought me out to Marthel's. On that team were Tom Smith, Tommy Hoig, Bob Lucky, Chris Cuppy, Donnie Scoy, Hoagie, Big Mac, and the rest of the guys that I can't remember their names right now. And he also let me coach with him at Jefferson. He was a head coach there, and I was able to help him. Pappy Clausen, Donnie Carew, Stan Shea, and the rest of the Bloomington teachers touch football. You realize how much angst those teachers had built up when they got out to play touch football. There's a lot of anger there. Very aggressive, wonderful guys, and I congratulate them. Steve Strumman, Buster Rodebach for allowing me to coach baseball with them at Kennedy for 8 years. That was a real treat. Tom Setterallen and John Bianchi for helping me coach hockey. A baseball and football player trying to coach hockey, and I was on the phone with those guys saying, help me out here, man. I can open the door and shut the door, but beyond that, it was up to them. So I thank them for all their help. Ron and Bob Milkey were my teammates at Augsburg, and Ronnie and I golf together on Mondays now too. Tom Ono was my high school baseball coach, and on that team was Dave Benakin, so another Bloomington name there. Paul Schaefer and Mike Gersh coached baseball with them in the Classic League for years. And I can't leave out the Kranz family because one of them was always involved in something. There's 11 of them, I think? About 11 of them. And last of all, my statement, my journey through the years has really brought me many places and met some wonderful people. And to me, sports and athletics is all about relationships and experiences. It's not about the wins and losses. Those things go away. Sometimes they remind you of those things, but it's the friendships and relationships that you have along the way that you'll never forget. I have many more friends than I had wins. So I thank you again. Congratulations to the rest of the inductees. Thank you. Thanks.
And last but not least, we've got the fifth and final Hall of Fame award going to Mike Snyder, and I'm going to ask Ron Nenovich to come up and tell us a little bit about Mike.
You know what they say about save the best for last? He is an excellent friend for anybody. Hopefully he'll be a good friend for me the rest of my life. Mike has coached many sports. I don't know how many years he's coached them. BAA, baseball, basketball, football. Also girls floor hockey. BTBA, Bloomington Travel Baseball Association. On the board as equipment manager. Also field director at Herbeck. Herbeck is one of the better youth baseball fields anywhere. I have a grandson that plays baseball with BTBA, and I follow him into many communities, and not many can beat Herbeck Field. And this is some of the reason why, because he has taken care of the grounds, and he has taught a lot of the younger kids how to take care of the grounds. And one of those kids, or maybe more than one, plays baseball for Gold Legion baseball and high school baseball for Kennedy. There's somebody else here that knows this young man. He's the head high school baseball coach, and I think he would like to say something, I hope, at this time. George, would you stand up? George Walker, the Kennedy High School baseball coach, is coached with.
Ron kind of sprung this on me. I've known Mike for a long time. Lucky enough to coach with Mike over the years and bug him. He's always coming out to Bloomington Bandit games, showing up and stuff once in a while. Yeah, I was lucky enough to coach Mike's son, Mike Jr., or Snyder, as Mike calls him. That's kind of funny. Never calls him Mike. Never calls him Mike Jr., he just calls him Snyder. I always got a kick out of that. But like Ron says, everything you see at Herbeck Field, great spot there, and Mike's got his hand in all that. It was great. Mike, it's been a long time. I know I bugged you years ago. You should be in here, and it's about time. You deserve it. And congratulations to you and to everyone else here. Thanks, Ron, and hopefully that's enough for you.
Thank you. Thank you, George. I want to congratulate all the award winners here tonight as well. And there's many more to come down the road. The word volunteer, I think everybody here understands the definition of volunteer. It's a lot of fun. Yes, we have a great baseball field on Nicollet and 90th, Herbeck. We also have a great baseball field just down the road a little bit where the water tower sits outside the fence of left field fence. I want to thank Mike Ramirez and Greg Boatman for helping us get that ballpark where it is. Nobody asks me, what's it all about? I just tell them. It's one of the best anywhere. Better than Edina, better than Eden Prairie, better than Minnetonka, better than Hopkins, better than Wayzata. And there's several reasons why. Because they don't have all of the amenities that Red Haddocks has, except for one. And we're working on that as we start last month and tomorrow. I want to introduce Michael Snyder. He has done so much for Bloomington baseball, as we all know. Michael, congratulations.
Well, I'll keep this short and sweet because I'm sure we're all ready to go. I'd like to thank Dan and Karen for putting this together. Appreciate that. I'd like to congratulate this year's inductees. It's a great honor, and I'm sure they're happy as I am. I'd like to thank my family for coming tonight. My son Mike, my daughter Krista, her husband Nick, and of course my 2 grandchildren. Glad you could stay up this late at night. I'd also like to thank the committee for this honor, and have a good night.
Well, that concludes our show, and just to wrap this up, I'd like to again thank all of you for coming. It's a great night. We've got a lot of volunteer hours, a lot of great people. When you think of the city of Bloomington having whatever it is now, 75,000, 80,000 people, to get to the bottom of that funnel where you've got this collection of people that have given so much back to the community and been such good community leaders and civic leaders in the things that they've done, life leaders, instructors to our children. It's really a compelling reason to be here. And congratulations again to all the inductees, all the people that have been here, and I hope you can see you again next year. So please drive safe and have a good night.